So yeah, I kinda got cooked in my last Bethesda video when talking about Starfield, when I mentioned the fact that, I actually enjoy most of the title. Which is cool, nothing from what people said were out of pure hatred or condescendence, just probably genuine concern. They think I'm fucking crazy. But I'm only slightly on the spectrum because, even though we all might not see eye to eye on the games that we play, I'm pretty sure that, pretty much everyone here surrounded by the campfire tonight is pretty much having the same thought that the Fallout TV show was a damn near peak live action game adaptation. A statement that feels surreal to say out loud after years of the worst films based on gaming to ever leave a production studio. That Assassin's Creed movie is trauma that's been tattooed into my mental instability. But the Fallout series on Amazon Prime is a great example of how studios should at least try to translate the vibe and lore from an established video game universe into a full-blown show with real people and believable CGI. In fact, the series was so good that it's been the main catalyst behind both casual and long-time gamers alike going back into Bethesda's catalog and replaying the classic Fallout games, most notably all the releases between Fallout 3 and Fallout 76, since those are the games that the show is based on. And let me tell you, man, it has been dope as hell to see people enjoy these titles again, especially seeing people newly introduced to the game getting absolutely shitted on in the wasteland by radioactive wildlife, man. That is just, he can't go wrong with that. But even though people are dwelling out of vaults from these 4 games right now, people can't help but notice that even the latest main game in the series, Fallout 4, was only released in 2015, which might have been 9 years ago now, but is basically over 2 decades ago in internet time, since our generation's attention span is more fraud than a full bag of flour on chicken. Of course, we did have the spin-off Fallout 76 title, which, released in 2018, and is also doing good right now as far as the numbers go, but following this latest wave of hype for the continuing of Bethesda's post-nuclear storyline, the company is undoubtedly feeling the pressure of their own doing when it comes to the insane production periods that it takes for all of the new games to release. So I'm happy to say that, from what we know right now, Bethesda is actually in the lab cooking up some shit that we actually want to play. You see, last year, the Acclaim studio announced that they went balls deep in production for the next upcoming Elder Scrolls 6 game, which is another one of their franchises on par, if not more hype than the Fallout series. But here's the thing, with them saying that they started serious production on this game only last year, it goes without saying that we are light years away from seeing that game finally coming to light. At least 2027 is what people are speculating for ES6, but it could be likely even longer because let's not forget that the D in Bethesda stands for delays. And on top of that, Bethesda has been on record multiple times to say that Fallout 5 isn't going to be released until after Elder Scrolls 6, which I doubt they have any plans on changing this far into development. And look, I don't expect any of you to have your math skills maxed out for you to understand where I'm finna go with this, God knows for the math is the only reason I'm even here today. But there is a night and day difference between the times it takes for Bethesda to drop their sequel titles now compared to back then. Like, the time between Fallout 3 and 4 was around 7 years, while the time between Fallout 4 and the rumored Fallout 5 game is looking to be at least 12 years. And even if you want to count Fallout 76 as a stable release, that time between the game and Fallout 5 is still going to be at least 9 years at minimum, and that's only if we're lucky. That is a long time to not only keep players interested, but also sets an insane amount of expectation to reach, seeing that the average player might be in an entirely different life stage by the time that game drops. Like, I'll be 27. Ooh. Yeah, let's stop talking. And while none of this is heartbreaking news and people are pretty much just numb to how long it takes for games to drop nowadays, Xbox, the owner of Bethesda, is feeling the need to ramp up its production time, as it was recently reported by known Xbox insider Jez Corden that Xbox is, quote, formulating plans on how to get the next Fallout game sooner rather than later. He doesn't go into any more detail in this video on how exactly they want to do that, but the news is credible enough given the recent hype among all of the games in the Fallout franchise. Now, of course, another route that Bethesda could take would be to shift the development into creating a sequel title for the beloved New Vegas title from 2008, which was developed instead by Obsidian Entertainment, another one of Xbox's currently underused Infinity Stones of game developers. So it is likely that they'll just pump out a title for this franchise in the meantime just for them to get something out, but it still doesn't change the fact that the effect of having these big budget game studios is being felt in the industry and really needs to change for the better. In fact, these big budget companies are likely working against the overall production of games because, for example, Starfield's development team had a record of over 500 employees working on the title at one time, which might sound, good in theory, but the fact of the matter is that developers spoke out after the game dropped, saying that having that many people working together caused a lot of chaos and unclearness on direction, at least in contrast to the smaller teams that worked on the previous Bethesda titles, which ultimately led to the final boss fight of the game being rushed and put together at the last minute. So just imagine after 12 years of waiting for the next Fallout entry that it suffers the same fate and fails to deliver a long-awaited experience, all because Bethesda thinks that more money means a better game. That would suck. Almost as much as Clover as a comedian in Fallout 3. She really sucks. But of course, based on this timeline, we have a lot of years of speculating before we draw any, definitive conclusions. Hopefully it doesn't come to any of that and Bethesda can have it figured out by the time we finally do get Fallout 5, but we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds for Bethesda's games. So what do you guys think about Bethesda and this, Fallout 5 possibly getting sped up in production, man? Feel free to comment down below, like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.